Petra Kjell from PROGRESSIO. The reason why we even started lobbying on water under the UNFCCC, the Climate Change Convention, was that originally there was no mention of water. So we decided that this just wasn't good enough as a document to be able to work on a global level for how we deal with climate change. We need some real language in there about what's actually happening and how we deal with it. Well, we've done a lot of work on water through something called the Water and Climate Coalition. We made some progress in terms of introducing the water of language into the actual negotiation text that's still on the table. We realized that the actual text in itself, it's really important to have a mention of water there, because that opens up for discussions on a country level as well around how you deal with water in terms of climate change adaptation. So therefore we have also been lobbying for a specific program on water and climate change, which will be similar to the Nairobi work program on adaptation. It will sit under the same body, the SUBSTA, which deals with technological and scientific advice. We're hoping that this proposed work program will open up for more detailed discussions around water and climate change adaptation, so that we can get into more detailed discussions around the practicalities of adaptation strategies, and from our perspective, the poverty implications and the civil society engagement will be very important parts of this. What we're also hoping that this proposed work program can do is to also bring in the mitigation side of water. That some mitigation strategies are actually very water intensive. So hydro dams, for example, uses a lot of water, and there's very little environmental and social monitoring on how they will affect local communities. Another aspect is biofuels, which in some instances can be very water intensive. So this is something that we need to look at more closely and raise awareness about to ensure that mitigation strategies actually doesn't undermine local communities even further than climate change already is doing. I think from a civil society perspective, there's a lot of really interesting projects and research that's going on, which really should be incorporated better into more national and sort of international adaptation policies. I think more and more governments are realizing that water is actually how we perceive climate change. That often when we talk about climate change, it's about too much water, too little water. We need to take it more seriously, and we need to work on it on all levels, both at the international level, at the regional level, and at the national and the local level as well. I think water is fundamental. Water is the bloodstream of our planet. It is how we see and feel climate change. And it's therefore absolutely fundamental that we look at water and climate change and understand what the impacts are, what the solutions are, and what the false solutions are, and also challenge those and work together and collect the evidence and bring the evidence to the decision makers. Sometimes it can feel like the UNFCCC and other international bodies are very far away and far removed. It's our job to make sure they're not. They are actually serving in our interest. The UN is a collection of all our governments. We need to work on our governments. We need to work on the UNFCCC and UN level to bring these issues to their attention.
people who are watching this video, if they want more information about this kind of work, or if they want to contribute, where can they find that information?
Well, you can, for example, look at the Water and Climate Change Coalition's website, which is just water and, oh, I'm not sure if I remember that one.
We'll throw it
You can look for the Water and Climate Change Coalition. There's also a number of organizations who are working very actively on water and climate change adaptation. As PROGRESSIO, we are trying to collect case studies and hopefully pull together more bigger reports. So our website is another place where you can look for information. We also work with a number of partners around the world. So in El Salvador, we work very closely with UNES, and they are doing some very interesting work around adaptation strategies, working directly with communities, and they have great knowledge about water issues. So I would very much recommend people talking to them and looking at their website as well for inspiration and ideas.
Is there anything